Imagine a time long, long ago when the world felt impossibly large and mysterious. In this ancient world, there was no internet, no aeroplanes, and no quick way to travel from one place to another. Yet there was a remarkable network of paths and trails that connected the great civilizations of the East and the West. This network was not just one single road, but many, stretching for thousands of miles across vast deserts, over towering mountains, and through bustling cities. We call this incredible network the Silk Road. It was the world's first great superhighway of trade and ideas, a lifeline that pulsed with the energy of human connection, adventure and discovery for centuries. The Silk Road began more than 2,000 years ago, during the Han Dynasty in China. It was a vital artery for the world, linking the powerful Chinese Empire with the mighty Roman Empire and everything in between. Its importance cannot be overstated. It was far more than just a route for selling goods. It was a bridge between cultures, a channel through which knowledge, art, religion and philosophy flowed freely in both directions. The story of the Silk Road is the story of humanity's enduring desire to explore, to connect and to share. It shows us how different peoples, living thousands of miles apart, could influence one another in the most profound and lasting ways. Think of it as the original World Wide Web, woven not from digital code, but from the footsteps of countless travelers. This ancient route changed the course of history in countless ways. It introduced new foods to different parts of the world, transforming diets and agriculture forever. It carried new beliefs like Buddhism from India to China, which shaped the spiritual landscape of entire nations. It also facilitated the exchange of scientific knowledge, such as advances in medicine, astronomy and mathematics. The Silk Road was, in essence, a grand, slow-motion conversation between civilizations, a dialogue that has shaped the world we live in today in ways we are still uncovering. The very name Silk Road sounds so wonderfully romantic, doesn't it? It was coined in the 19th century by a German geographer, and it perfectly captures the glamour and mystery of the route. Silk, that most precious and beautiful fabric, was the most famous commodity to travel westward from China, a secret the Chinese guarded fiercely for centuries. But the road carried so much more. It was a river of commerce and culture, a testament to human resilience and curiosity. Embarking on a journey along its path meant facing immense dangers, from scorching deserts to freezing mountain passes and the threat of bandits. But the rewards, both material and intellectual, were simply irresistible. The Silk Road was not travelled by just one type of person. It was a vibrant, moving tapestry of humanity. At the heart of this great enterprise were the merchants. These brave and enterprising individuals, often from places like Sogdiana in Central Asia, would form large groups called caravans for safety. They would load their goods onto the backs of sturdy camels, animals perfectly suited for the harsh desert conditions, and set off on journeys that could take months or even years to complete. Alongside the merchants travelled soldiers, sent to protect the valuable cargo and guard the outposts along the way. These caravans were like moving towns, full of life and purpose. Beyond the traders and their guards, the road was a path for pilgrims and missionaries. These were people travelling not for wealth, but for faith. Buddhist monks from China made the perilous journey to India, the birthplace of their religion, to study sacred texts and visit holy sites. In the other direction, missionaries carried their beliefs westward, spreading Christianity, Manichaeism and later Islam across the vast continent of Asia. These spiritual travellers were just as important as the merchants, for they carried ideas that would reshape societies. Their diaries and accounts give us some of the most vivid descriptions of life along the ancient route, painting a picture of deep devotion and incredible endurance. Of course, the goods they traded were as diverse and fascinating as the people themselves. From the east, heading towards Europe, came the most luxurious items. Silk was the star attraction, a fabric so light, strong and beautiful that it was worth its weight in gold in Rome. But China also exported fine porcelain known as china, as well as tea, spices like cinnamon and precious jade. These goods were symbols of wealth and status in the West, craved by emperors, nobles and the rich. The desire for these exotic treasures was a powerful engine that kept the caravans moving across the continents for centuries. In the opposite direction, from west to east, flowed another stream of valuable commodities. The Roman Empire and other Western lands sent glass, which was a novelty in China, as well as woolen textiles, carpets, and precious metals like gold and silver. Central Asia contributed magnificent horses, highly prized by the Chinese for their cavalry, along with nuts, grapes, and wine. It was a magnificent exchange that enriched both sides. This trade was not just about luxury, it was about sharing the best of what each culture had to offer, creating a dynamic and interconnected world where a person in Rome could drink from a Chinese cup, and an emperor in China could ride a horse from the Fergana Valley. The journey along the Silk Road was incredibly arduous, crossing some of the most unforgiving landscapes on Earth. To survive, travelers depended on a series of oasis towns and cities that sprung up like jewels in the desert. These were not just resting places, they were vibrant centers of culture, trade, and life. One of the most famous was Samarkand, in modern-day Uzbekistan. Its name alone evokes a sense of magic and wonder. Samarkand was a crossroads of cultures, a city of stunning blue-tiled mosques and mausoleums. For centuries, it was a major hub where merchants from China, India, Persia, and Europe would meet to trade their goods and share their stories. Another essential stop was the ancient city of Bukhara, also in Uzbekistan. It was a renowned center of learning, religion, and commerce. Its historic center is filled with mosques, madrasas, Islamic schools, and a grand minaret that once served as a lighthouse for caravans navigating the desert. Imagine arriving there after weeks of traveling across the sand, seeing its towering structures on the horizon. It must have felt like reaching paradise. These cities were melting pots where different languages were spoken. Various religions were practiced side by side, and art and architecture from different traditions blended together to create something entirely new and beautiful. Further east, on the edge of the fearsome Taklamakan Desert in China, lay the oasis of Dunhuang. This was a place of immense spiritual importance. It was here that travelers would stop to pray for a safe journey across the desert or give thanks for a successful crossing. Near Dunhuang are the Mogao Caves, also known as the Thousand Buddha Grottos. This is an incredible complex of hundreds of caves carved into a cliffside filled with some of the most stunning Buddhist art in the world. For over 1,000 years, monks, artists and patrons created these masterpieces, leaving behind a breathtaking library of paintings and statues that tell the story of the Silk Road's spiritual life. These cities were the lifeblood of the Silk Road. They provided water, food and shelter, but they also offered something more: human connection. In their bustling bazaars, a traveller could hear news from distant lands, learn about different customs, and witness the incredible diversity of the world. Places like Kashgar, Merv, and Palmyra were not just dots on a map, they were thriving cosmopolitan centres that absorbed influences from every direction. They were the essential links in the long chain that connected East and West, and their magnificent ruins today stand as silent witnesses to a golden age of global exchange. Every great journey has its legends, and the Silk Road is full of them. Perhaps the most famous story is about the discovery of silk itself. The legend tells of a Chinese empress named Lei Zhu who lived around 2700 BCE. One afternoon, she was sipping tea under a mulberry tree when a cocoon from a silkworm fell into her cup. As she tried to fish it out, the hot tea began to unravel the cocoon into a single long shimmering thread. The empress was fascinated. She gathered more cocoons and, through experimentation, learned how to unwind them and weave the strong, soft thread into a beautiful fabric. This, the story goes, was the birth of silk. For many centuries, the Chinese kept the method of making silk a closely guarded secret. It was a source of great wealth and power for the empire, and revealing the secret was punishable by death. This secrecy only made the fabric more desirable and mysterious to the outside world. However, another legend tells us how the secret finally got out. A Chinese princess who was sent to marry a king in a faraway land in Central Asia did not want to leave her beloved silk behind. So she cleverly hid silkworm eggs and mulberry seeds in her elaborate hairstyle. When she reached her new home, she shared the secret with her husband, and from there the knowledge of silk production slowly spread westward. This story, whether true or not, perfectly illustrates the nature of the Silk Road. It shows that no secret, no matter how well guarded, can be kept forever when people are determined to connect and share. The road was a conduit, and what travelled along it could not always be controlled. Just as the secret of silk eventually made its way west, so too did countless other ideas and innovations. This constant, unstoppable flow of knowledge is what made the Silk Road so transformative for the world. It reminds us that barriers between cultures are ultimately permeable, and that human connection will always find a way. Today, the Silk Road continues to fascinate us for so many reasons. It represents a time of high adventure, of brave souls venturing into the unknown. It is a powerful symbol of globalization, proving that the exchange of goods and ideas between different cultures is not a new phenomenon, but an ancient human tradition. In a world that can sometimes feel divided, the story of the Silk Road is a hopeful reminder of our shared history and our deep-seated need to connect with one another. It is a legacy written not just in silk and gold, but in the enduring spirit of human curiosity and cooperation that continues to inspire us to explore and understand our world.